Moving on now, it is gun news. So obviously this isn't a local news story, as we gave up our freedom years ago to the tyranny of knowing that our children can go to school without getting shot, and our nation has never recovered since. But one group of heroes who has gone out of their way to ensure they stay committed to liberty and never give in to the kind of tyranny we've allowed to overrun this nation, the increasingly ironically named United States of America. What better way to express their freedom than by firing their not even slightly fought for guns into the air in revelry, then into a shopping centre, in revelry, into a school, in revelry, into a cinema, in revelry, from a window of a hotel, in revelry, a nightclub, in revelry, a church, in revelry, basically anywhere where there are people that they will hear the sound of freedom and revelry. But all of this freedom isn't as free as they first thought. See, after James Crumbley, the father of the Michigan school shooter, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, a second conviction against the teen's parents, whose mother was also charged back in February, who was accused of failing to secure a gun at home and doing nothing to address acute signs of his mental turmoil. I mean, the audacity of America punishing someone for inaction on guns in the face of obvious red flags is staggering. Their whole approach to gun safety is a bigger red flag than the parade for the 70th anniversary of the Communist Party. It's worth noting this decision was made by a jury, and these parents have become the first US parents to be charged for a mass school shooting committed by their child, raising the prospect that parents of future school shooters will also face trial in American courts. You can read all about this in Needless Scapegoat magazine's Back to School Shootings special. And you know their motto, anybody will do in a pinch. It's a win-win, really. Politicians get to pass the buck and not take action on gun safety. Although Michigan did not have a storage law at the time, Crumbley still had a legal duty to protect others from possible harm by his son, at least according to prosecutors. With Donald Trump as the frontrunner for the Republican nominee, I don't know that holding a father accountable for their children's actions is in the best interest of this potential upcoming government. We've all seen Donald Trump's kids in action. I wouldn't want to be held accountable for any of those future lawsuits. Country prosecutor Karen McDonald told the jury James Crumbley is not on trial for what his son did, to which a very delighted Trump blew an exasperated sigh of relief. She continued, James Crumbley is on trial for what he did and for what he didn't do. He doesn't get a pass because somebody else actually pulled the trigger. Now, the verdicts in the Crumbley parents' case, based on the allegations of negligence and foreseeability, likely will be used by prosecutors in future cases, creating what we like to call a precedent. Not just for court cases either. This will set a new precedent for politicians seeking to blame but not seeking to take action. And you better believe that we will be draining that well dry in the near future. This is a whole fresh source of responsibility shifting. Not since the heady first days of thoughts and prayers have we been able to shift so many units of blame and take so little responsibility. But no longer do we have to rely on thoughts and prayers to solve the gun problem. We may even be able to retire it once and for all. We can now simply blame the parents and throw them all in jail. And sure, these parents were negligent. They definitely could have solved this problem before it escalated. But if we're doing this really and truly, then we need to bring it to its logical conclusion. Already, some people are looking to blame the school, and there potentially is some blame to be laid there, to be sure. But we can do better than that. We can go higher. We can escalate this to the point of irritation, disruption, and to its logical end point. If a parent or a school can be held responsible for the actions of a school shooter due to their own inaction, then logically, this responsibility needs to be upshifted to the NRA, who have lobbied Congress for years. Oh, and the politicians and Congress that continuously failed to pass meaningful gun regulation every year since 1994, although occasionally some states will make it slightly worse, so that does count as change. It's not positive change, but it still does count as change, I guess. Gun violence costs thousands of lives per year beyond mass shootings, and the easy availability of guns has ripple effects, spreading trauma across communities of all demographics. Now, I can see why you don't want to have public health care, America. It makes sense to me. All of it would be used up treating gun wounds. Over 200 mass shootings a year definitely puts some holes in the old piggy bank. And some buildings and some people. And some other stuff, but that's a moot point. It costs a lot to patch up the holes in 20 school kids, especially when the medical institutions are overcharging for every product on the market. So, if anything, I guess this is like really good economics. Now, this poor father was accused of doing nothing to address acute signs of his son's mental turmoil. And I don't know him. Maybe he did. But seriously, America, come here. What are you doing? Come here. Are you trying to make it look like you aren't a real country? Because you're doing a damn good job. Oh, you think this guy ignored acute signs of mental turmoil? That's your whole MO, America. Do we have a clip?
Bing, bing. I love it. I love it. I'm sitting there tweeting. Bing, bing, bing. You press a button. Bing, bing. They all hand you checks. Bing, 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 bing. We had our beautiful Marine standing there. Bing, 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 bing. You know, in the old days, bing, bong. You know, with the map. Bing, bing, bing. Little mouth on him. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing, bing. They're cleaning up. Fix it up. Bing, bing, bing. A 14-point plan. Bing, bing, bing. Anthony Weiner. You know, the little bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, there's always a clip. Looks like a man in some kind of mental turmoil, at least some sort of cognitive decline, and everyone is ignoring it, even waiting to give him the most important job in the country again. Now, what was his take on guns again? Can we just...
And I promise you this, with me at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, no one will lay a finger on your firearms, just as took place for 4 years when I was your president. I will uphold those glorious words, shall not be infringed.
Well, that doesn't sound like a man who takes the gun problem seriously. Not that it's just him, mind you. All of them in there need to learn their choices have consequences. And the only consequences they care about are the ones that impact them directly. I mean, look how hard Trump is working to become president now that he has many legal problems. I don't think I've seen him work so hard on anything before. And may this pursuit, like so many in his life, end in failure. All I want is some people in power to see consequences. Is that so much to ask? He asked, knowingly.